WEFM Fresh Sound.
Stop us or call us at 457.
And time here is 8:34, and we are back for another segment program here on WEFM. It's been a morning of patience, folks. Yeah, I know that those in radio land won't understand, but on the streaming land, it's been a morning of extreme patience. All right. Dianna, it's okay. I would sort it out. So we're going to hand it over to Nicole. And we are going to be talking about uncertainty encounters preparedness. Sounds a little bit full and a little bit packed. So Nicole is going to help us unpack this. So Nicole, what is this topic all about?
So I am in this space of, and as you know, understanding where we are heading as a world in general. And there's so many people that are in a place of uncertainty and fear. Particularly if we look at what's happening, it's Jamaica, Cuba, it's all the islands, North Caribbean, Turks and Caicos. There is that sense of suspense about what is happening. How are we going to go through this, navigate this, survive this? And then in the Southern Caribbean, we know what we're dealing with. Our leader who has taken that position, and the moving in of so many various forces. And so one of the things that I've been encouraging people to do is to be prepared, not just in that space of having things and having access to their emergency supplies and that kind of thing, but that sense of being prepared to, I don't like the word pivot, but I will use the word pivot loosely. And sometimes we don't even understand what that preparedness means. And for me, I will just clarify it a little bit. Are we reading enough? Are we making ourselves familiar with what's going on in our environment? And this is not just current news, immediate news, the weather, the climate, the situation of instability. This is more, are we aware or are we following that narrative of fake news or not understanding that we should be doing our deep dives and getting our own information so that we can do some level of critical thinking? And I feel like sometimes critical thinking goes out the door. And I especially have noticed over the last few weeks that photos are triggering people. And photos are making people begin to overthink. And overthinking is not in any way a helpful thing for preparedness for any situation, whether it be our life in general or everyday things, going to work in traffic. We have to understand navigating uncertainty is not just about an explosive situation that is at hand, but even things like how we navigate getting where we want to go on time if we know there's going to be traffic because we're living in rush hour. So that uncertainty is where we have to always be at that place of saying, let me prepare myself. Let me make myself one step ahead of the game. Let me be proactive. Let me, and in Roleza, you were expressing it this morning, saying, folks who are thinking about voting, are you prepared to vote? You're unsure how to vote. You might be unsure, but are you prepared? Are you aware? Are you learning? Are you discovering? Do you know, what are the steps? Have you been registered? So that uncertainty sometimes overarches so many aspects of our lives and our living. And do we make the time to learn, to discover, to read, to navigate that information space? Or are we relying on the memes Are we relying on the pictures? Are we relying on the posts? Somebody sent me something overnight that was fake news, and I love to do a deep dive and go. I just get in a rabbit hole sometimes. That when I get there, I'm like, how did I reach here 2 hours later? So again, are we doing that, taking that moment to take the time to research and detailed research, and not just let the pictures or the photos or the narratives trigger us? And that emotional preparedness and that mental preparedness is also something that will save us from a lot of stress and anxiety. And we can't afford to sacrifice our mental health for anything and for many things.
Okay. All right. So Nicole, are you hearing me in real time?
I'm hearing you in real time now, but there were
Okay.
a few lags and delays, and then I saw Dianna drop off, so I'm not sure.
All right. Yeah. So we're hearing in real time now. All right. I don't know. It's kind of difficult for me to keep apologizing for this, but I apologize to the listeners. We've been having a bit of an issue for a while now, so we're hoping that this week, once and for all, that this will be rectified. Because of course, we all hoping, or we all want to be able to hear Nicole's contribution. She is the third co-host, and I know that there are persons who have been faithful, at least on the live, who keep tuning in and wanting to look at the program. All right. So we sincerely apologize, and we're hoping that once and for all that this week that this matter will be sorted. All right. So Nicole, in terms of the essence of what you are talking about this morning, I will say that there is a thing with us, maybe, I don't know if it's as, I should say, as Caribbean people, but maybe a thing with us as people on a whole, where until something lands at our feet, then we don't necessarily find a reason to be prepared, right? Case in point is always hurricane season. Case in point is always the day before or the few hours before we hear a hurricane is going to hit. We hear whole time in advance that, you need to have water stored up. You need to have perishable foods on hand. You need to have this, you need to have that, right? We know that there is an uncertainty ahead, let's say, of a hurricane season. I'm just using that as an example. There is a bit of uncertainty that can happen at the start of the hurricane season, but yet our levels of preparedness, we don't see the urgency, or we don't see a reason to do anything about it until it lands directly at our feet, right? Is this because we have faith as a people? I don't know if this is because we have faith as a people, thinking that nothing is going to happen and God is going to be with us. I know y'all like to say that God is a Trinity, but
God
we know
is a
He's
Trinity.
I
know he's a Vinci too, because clearly we pushing God. We've been pushing God for too long. But one of the things about 3 weeks ago, and I always share this on my social media, in my communities. This is my work, right? So I'm always saying, have your emergency supplies. Have you purchased your medicine? Have you gone back to your doctor for your checkups? And 2 weeks ago, I posted, get your medication, get whatever, keep your emergency supplies at hand. And somebody asked me for why. And I was like, because you need to be proactive. You need to be proactive. That is why. And if you don't have some money put aside, because we have all these benefits with medicine in terms of the CDAP program and all of that, but I'm not a beneficiary of those. Those are for chronic illnesses. But I'm telling people, just get your medication. Even if you have hypertension, get 2 weeks extra. You don't want to be where there is an emergency and everybody lining up. Let me tell you something. I don't line up for certain things. I line up for things that I need to be in order with. But you see, food, I always tell people, I don't line up for food because my ancestors did that a long time for me. And they fought to get hunger eradicated. And I'm not lining up to wait for a meal. So I say it not in a derogatory way, but I say it because we have earned all of these privileges of being able to be proactive. So if we are proactive and we get things in order, your birth certificates, have things like that, keep a place where you keep things secure. because this is how we actually get frustrated and emotionally and mentally drained when we can't resolve certain things. So it's really about navigating life in general. It's really
Okay.
simple.
All right, Dianna.
Uh, yeah. One of the things Nicole mentioned before when she was speaking was the importance of reading enough, and I definitely have to endorse that message. Always be reading, and I think that once you read enough, it should help you to get to that level of preparedness that you need to be at in order for you to be able to deal with certain things that may be out of your control, or you may not be able to handle effectively in that moment, even if it is the knowledge just to be mentally stable, particularly need help over that as well. Encouragement to people as well. There are a lot of fake things going around as it relates to. Well, one of the first things I saw was the hurricane with Jamaica, but we have to be mindful of that with a lot of things as well, especially for us Vinces here in our political season, because you may see something that you think is real and you go with it and you share it, and you really have to double check and then triple check, because people are creating a lot of fake things and a lot of them look real and they are very believable. So just be careful.
Yeah. And even by extension, I know that so topic is when uncertainty encounters preparedness. Even let's look at it in a political or a geopolitical space in terms of what's happening within the Caribbean. I don't know how Trinis are reacting, but for me here in Vinci, so all this tension in terms of the invasion of U.S. ships into our territory. I know that. Well, I don't know if I'm speaking on behalf of everybody, so let me just talk for myself, right? So while it is, yes, I'm aware of what's happening, do I necessarily feel significantly frightened at this moment? And I would say no, right? Again, maybe because I'm just hoping that this whole situation would blow over. I'm hoping that the type of wars or the type of bombings or the whole type of things that happen in countries far, far, far away from our region is not going to happen and not going to affect us. But is it a case where at this point in time, do we probably need to be prepared, right? But in terms of preparedness, maybe it's a case more of mental preparedness of a just in case, right? What is this going to mean for us on an individual level? Let's say if something serious does happen within the region, the fact that we are so used to having a peaceful living in a peaceful environment, how is this going to, let's say, affect our mental health? How is this going to affect our economy? How is this then going to trickle down to even us in terms of our personal finances? I think maybe it's a case where, again, maybe as a Caribbean person, maybe just as a Roleza, because somebody said I might be generalizing here, but as a Roleza, unless it directly lands at my feet, then I may not necessarily get myself emotionally worked up about it at this point in time. So that's also something else there. All right, Nicole.
But it's not about getting emotionally worked up, and that's the thing.
Before we head out,
It's usually about, and that's the thing, when you're proactive about anything and that sense of preparedness, you reduce the mental strain and stress. You reduce the anxiety and the angst. And this is with everything, including the current geopolitical situation. And I want to tell you, Trinbagonians, there is a divide, of course. There is, however, a majority of level thinking individuals, and I consider myself one of them, and I hope I am, who we are concerned, and we're more than just concerned, because there is a lot of undercurrent. There's a bit of undercurrent as well, that some of this is racially provoked and all kinds of other things that we don't need at this time, and that the region has grown out of, that we should not even be having as a discussion. anymore because we are in a critical place geopolitically,
All right.
and there is need for sense to prevail.
Patience, people.
Oh God, I know,
Patience.
I don't know how much of that you heard, but I don't know how much of it you heard.